This is in the style of the Yeti commercial.
Hi, this is Bryant with Slam, and on this week's Slam Presents, we speak with Ed Desch, Montana knife maker. So Ed, can you tell me about how you got started making knives and what drew you to making knives?
Well, I went down to a local sporting goods shop and bought a medium-sized hunting knife and looked at it and said, well, I can make this. And that's kind of how it started. I even still use the same pattern, in my knives.
Do you think if you picked up a different knife, you made a different pattern?
I don't know. When I bought the knife, I thought that was what I was looking for.
It just spoke to you.
Yeah, just kind of said, yeah, this is it. So,
Funny how like one small thing could change your life in a whole different direction. So then after you found this knife, you decided you could make it better. How did you know what to do next? Did you start researching it, talking to people, find a book?
no, I didn't do any books. I didn't research anything. I was a tool maker, mold maker for many years, and I think it was about 40 years worth of carving steel. So it just kind of came natural to me. I kind of knew what needed to be done, that type of thing.
You had the general process, and this helped just give you a specific thing to make.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, it wasn't anything really new to me. I've been woodworker, always done something with my hands. So, not so much as not a numbers person, but I like working with my hands.
You like working with your hands, and you knew the right material.
Yeah. I knew steels. I knew what I wanted. I knew I didn't want a carbon steel. I wanted a stainless steel, so it wouldn't rust. Searching out that steel took a while, to find the best combination of how well it worked, how easy it was to carve, machine, that type of thing, as compared to what held an edge the best. I went through about 3 or 4 different steels and finally settled on one. This is a chunk of steel. I buy it in bars, long bars, about 3 foot long. This is 154 cm stainless steel. And what I'll do is paint it this kind of blue colored. It's a blue layout dye. I'll scratch out the shape of a knife on it.
Why do you paint it blue?
So I can see the scratches. If you kind of look, you can see the scratches in the blue, in the bluing. And then I'll take it over here on this machine over here and bandsaw the shape out. I'll cut out maybe 6, 8 pieces of steel. I'll get about 30 knives out of that, and that's kind of how I start.
So you got this far, and now do you add the handle before you sharpen it, or do you sharpen it before you add the handle?
Basically I mill everything. Mill or grind or drill. I get it all ready for heat treat.
So you eventually have a finished product here, and then you add a fancier handle in the back end.
Correct. Once I have all this all machined out, ground out, polished out, it's not sharpened yet, but I'll send this out to a heat treater. And then when it comes back, it looks like this. And then I can tell people I can finish this off in 1 to 2 weeks with whatever handle they want, any materials, different types of file work down the edge. Now, if they want something custom that I don't have, it's about 3 months to 6 months to get it. done.
It takes you time to measure the knife, cut it
Yeah.
into a new mold.
Yes. My heat treating, I try to do like 30 knives in a batch, send them out, get them all heat treated at once, and then get them back. I'm sending them to Connecticut.
Oh, really? Where in Connecticut?
South Windsor, Connecticut. So,
How did you find that connection?
through a brother-in-law, and I don't know how he found it, but I've been using these guys for years, and I'm really happy with them.
Is there anything special about Connecticut, or just that this is where they happen to be and you found a
They
vendor
just
you
happen
trust?
to be, and that I trust them to, give me a good heat treat that's nice and straight down the, when you look down the knife, and you look, it should be nice and straight. Now there's several things about this knife. You can see tapered tang. It gets thinner toward the end. It's all polished, got a stamping.
Could you talk for a minute about what the process of heat treating is and what it does for a knife?
Basically, these guys in Connecticut, they have a vacuum furnace, several vacuum furnaces, where it's heated up to like 2,000 degrees. The steel is in this furnace, but the vacuum sucks all the air out of the heat treat of it. Okay, so when it hardens, after it reaches 200 degrees, they pull it out, quench it really quick, cool it off fast. Alright, well, what the vacuum does is it keeps the carburization off of the knife, where it comes back looking pretty nice and clean. And it just takes me a little bit to polish it out.
Is it already this sharp when it gets sent there?
Yes, yes. Now, if you don't have that vacuum, you get a bunch of carburization, and that goes deep inside of the steel, and it'll take quite a long time to polish that back out.
So the carbonization forms as like a pattern on the knife.
Yeah, it's kind of an ugly, almost burnt look to it.
Does it do anything to the metal in terms of how it would affect how it cuts or how long it'll stay sharp?
If, say, I were to take this knife and just try to bend it when it was soft, I could bend it, pretty good. When it comes back, hardened and heat treated, it's very hard and you can't bend it. Takes a really good edge, that type of thing.
So then you get it back in this. Now, what is your next move? You polish it out and then you put the handle on?
Yes, I polish it out. We do what's called the firework pattern down it, and I'll do that with files or a Dremel tool, just kind of by hand. I'll sit there and do all the little patterns. I have about 6 or 8 different patterns that I do. I will put the brass on them, and then glue and pin the handles.
When you get to this part, do you enjoy the process of knife making as much as before at the metal, or is the metal really your joy in making the knives?
The joy is, when I get a knife like this, when it's all glued. I need to drop some things. When it's all glued up and kind of ready for sanding. Come on. When it's in that state, right there. When I get on my sander, I'm making a knife then. When I sand all that out, when I make it start looking like a knife again.
It's like the breath of life. It's the finishing touch that really brings it into creation.
Comes to life. Now here you can see it looks kind of ugly looking. It's got glue all over it and not very smooth. And
yeah, it's in the rough draft stage.
Yeah. Fileworks on there. You can see the bluing where I've drawn my pattern on there, or that kind of stuff. But once I sand it down, sand it, you know, get it all smoothed out, then it comes alive. It becomes a knife. And the more I work on it, the more I polish it. I have a problem with not being satisfied, and I'm always trying to improve it more and more and more. Some little scratch way down in the corner, I'll work on that for hours to get it out.
Really? Because it's like you do 30 knives, you said, in a bath before you heat treat it. How many knives do you think you make a year?
It's hard to say. This is since I retired. I retired back in February, and since then I've made probably approaching 50 knives.
And each one, you can't let those little perfections go. You want every one to be perfect.
Yeah.
What's one thing you've learned over the process that's, I think, helped you? What's like an important lesson that you've learned along the way that's helped you speed up your process, or maybe let go of having to be perfect, or after all these knives, it still hasn't changed?
Just being more organized, I guess. Having stuff right where I want it, my wife came in, she sorted out all my wood and got it all, figured out. I was just working out of some boxes out of the floor, on the floor, and
organization is key to efficiency. Getting the process is just as important as the actual craft of making the knife.
And then just being able to get all different kinds of material. I searched the internet. We even take vacations to Hawaii, and I'll bring back loads of wood, and it's just kind of fun, just
to experiment with the different handles. Is there one material that you enjoy crafting the most?
Probably for wood, I like the koa wood.
That's from Hawaii, right?
Yes, correct.
What about it? Just the texture?
It's just got so many different patterns. It has depth to it. You can kind of...
You feel the character.
You can look at it. You can train your eyes, and you could swear it has ripples in it. When you go touch it, it's flat. And just... That's what I love about koa. This is monkey pod, and it does the same thing. Now you can't really see it, but you can kind of see the lines in it. That will actually look like ripples as it comes through.
And what about working with antler?
Antler, I do a lot with sambar stag from India. I do a lot with red deer. I found a guy on eBay, and he supplies me with some fantastic red deer.
Where are red deer found?
European deer.
You don't have any local animals that you like?
I like moose. Moose is nice and thick. It's not real porous. Elk, I'm not a fan of. It's real porous. It just doesn't have texture that I like. What I do like is the bighorn sheep. We buy it from the fish and game auctions. It's got to be tagged. It's got to be legal. I don't need my knives taken away from me.
Makes sense.
For being illegal. So, but the bighorn sheep, I'll cut like a full curl up, and some people just freak when I do it, but I'll sand it all out, and it's got a big curve to it. Well, my wife loves me when I take it up to her oven and put it in her oven and heat it up and smell up the house really well, and then I flatten it so it's all flat. Makes for nice handles.
So the bighorn knives have been the basis of many arguments in the house?
Yeah, but she also knows the bighorn sheep knives are hot sellers.
Is that because it's a more local animal? People have an attachment to it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the texture. Let me grab one. You know, this is sheep horn. You can kind of see the texture, kind of a greenish kind of look. It has all different kind of colors in it. Sometimes there's reds and
How do you decide on the color? Like on the stripe of the band?
for the liners, I don't know. My wife told me today I do too much red, but I kind of like red. But it's just preference. I kind of try to mix it up. I put black in there. I put white. I put a combination of red or white or red and black. You know, white and black. I've had guys just want black liners and you can hardly even see them, but they're there, and it's just kind of an added thing that I do.
Do you think you remember every knife you make?
No.
No?
If I see pictures of them,
You'll know that it's yours.
then I know it's mine. I have a distinct style. I haven't changed much since I started making them. I make what I like. I don't get into the tactical stuff or the real fancy stuff. I make a good, simple knife, I think. A little fancy on the back with the file work, but I don't know. I never read any books about it.
This was just something you enjoyed. You enjoyed knives. Did you enjoy knives your whole life?
I think I just started when I bought that one knife.
You bought one knife and you
And
decided that you could make one,
I
and it
could
just
make-
kind of changed your life.
Yeah.
Funny how just like a small, simple thing could be this one step in a whole nother direction
Oh,
that you
yeah.
thought.
Yeah. So,
Did you always consider yourself an artist, or like buying that knife set you on this whole new path as an artist?
I never really. I guess I can be considered an artist, but I never really thought of myself as an artist. I just like to make things that I would use. That's a hard thing to say. I've always been creative. I don't know.
You've always been creative. You were a tool maker. You liked working with your
Yeah.
hands, and you just found the right thing to shape.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just stuck.
It just stuck. So, I worked for a long time making molds. I always was real particular on how they looked. I thought if I'm going to make something, I want to make it look nice. So.
And how did it go from a hobby? You made that first one, and then how did you become a professional knife seller?
It just kind of happened. I made a couple knives right at first, and somebody said, "Hey, I'd like that. Can I buy that from you?" I kind of looked at them. Okay, sure. And then it was, well, my buddy here wants one, and he wants this on the handle, and it just kind of went from there. So
Started as referral, and then also technology made it a little bit more easier that you could stop just showing this at a show, and all of a sudden you had an online marketplace where
Yeah.
somebody could see your knife.
the biggest change for me was I had a custom order for two knives, father and son knives. And he goes, when he got them, oh, they're great. You know, I'm going to put this on Instagram. I'm going to have my daughter show me how to put this on Instagram. I thought, well, maybe I should go look at these, you know, see what he's putting on. And I joined in. And
At that time, did you know about Instagram?
no, I was not a big social media person.
So it's funny how much knives have really changed your life. You found an artistic medium and then you've just really grown over the process.
Yeah.
What's one lesson there that you could teach creatives who might be struggling in the process?
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Keep
Learning.
Keep learning, figure out new things, find something that works for you.
What's one thing now, looking back 30 years later, that you're most surprised about or just brings a smile to your face that you think about now that you've ended up here?
I'm surprised that people actually pay for my knives. You know,
It's hard as an artist when you like your craft.
no,
And sometimes it's unbelievable that people pay for it.
for it.
But it's like, you know, how much work it actually goes in, but still, it's almost unbelievable that people are paying me to do this. And
Yeah.
so sometimes the money thing can be tricky.
So,
But that's really neat that you get to find something in life that brought you that much joy
you know,
and also gave you some financial success as well.
yeah, I mean, right now I took an early retirement in February to do the knives.
To focus on Instagram.
And focus on, you know, just putting them out there, you know, getting, you know, different customers, that kind of thing.
If somebody was looking to try and craft their own knife, what's a piece of advice of how they should start or a useful practical tip that you could give someone?
Oh, do it the way you want to do it. You know, you can figure out a way to do something, and you don't have to read books on how to do it. And sure, it's helpful, but if you're gonna do something, do it the way you want to do it.
Make it your own style.
Make it your own style.
Where would they start to get like a piece of steel that they could start shaping into a knife? Just look online.
Just look online. There's all kinds of places to buy stuff. I use one place in particular just because of the lower price, and they have what I want. They have, you know, several other types of steel that I could use or will use in the future, or that kind of thing. So.
And you were saying since February you think you made 50 knives. Is it easy for you just to get into a flow because there's something just kind of repetitive about the motion you get in the process?
Well, yeah,
You get in a zone?
I get in a zone. I'll kind of start out and I'll pick like 4 or 6 knives, and I'll say, well, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the polishing on all of them, and then I'll do all the file work, and then I'll put all the guards on, you know, and then when I'll put all the handles on, glue them all.
So you do in steps. You're on for like this many, I'm going to do it this step, then to this step, then to this step,
Correct.
then this step. Yeah, you kind of batch it.
Kind of a production style almost.
Yeah, and when you're on that production line, do you do it so they're all the same? You'll make like a 4-inch blade or a 6-inch blade. You make them all uniform for that batch or just...
No, I kind of try to mix it up. I try to use different materials. I search through my wood and I'll find just that perfect piece that goes on there. You know, depending on, you know, like texture of it or...
Do you get a feeling that this just works with this knife?
Yeah.
So even if you might not remember making each one, in the process of making it, the material speaks for you to how to actually make it together.
Yeah. I mean, different woods, you know, different wood, different liners. It all just kind of say, well, okay, that one looks pretty good for this knife, for this style, or I don't know. It's just something that comes out of me, you know. And I've put handles on and ground them all out and looked at it and said, oh, that's totally wrong. And I've cut them off, redid them, and sometimes when I've done that, they turn out to be better knives than what I expected.
You put in the extra work. You didn't
Yeah.
give up, and you just kind of, as you said in the beginning, you're really a perfectionist when it comes to the knives. So if you know it's wrong, but you are starting over, you're still willing to put in the extra work. So it makes sense that it might come out the best. It's kind of like that idea that if somebody complains and then they have a better idea of the service after because they actually complained or something went wrong and it was fixed,
Yeah.
it was like you put in the extra effort so it came out how you wanted.
And a lot of times, if I'm just doing a knife for myself, just one of mine to put on a web page for sale, if it's not a custom order, I'll use some of the worst handle material, I should say worst antlers, or the weirdest shaped ones. And I'll put them on there. I'll spend a lot of time making sure that everything fits and can just get it on there or something. And sometimes the backs won't be symmetrical, or the horn will curve a little bit. But sometimes they turn out, some of my best knives have turned out that way.
It's also probably the most unique.
Yeah,
Kind of like a
it's
mutt.
very unique. It's not symmetrical. It's not uniform.
No, it's that knife
But you
because of the
put
bend
it
or
in
the
your hand,
imperfection.
and it just feels right. It just, everything about it is just sometimes hit it. I just hit it. So that's what I enjoyed, probably the most of it.
So you made many knives. Have you made any knives for anyone special or anyone famous?
I made, without even knowing it, a long time ago, I made a knife and had it downtown, and Eduardo Garcia's brother came in and bought it for him while he was in the hospital. If you know the story about Eduardo, he's a pretty cool guy. How he lived through all that, I have no idea.
Did he get struck by lightning?
No, he was out hunting, and there was a culvert sticking out, and a dead bear in there, and he had took his knife and poked it and got electrocuted and lost his arm, muscle mass, that type of thing. But his brother had bought one of my knives, and then his brother gave it to him, and he carried, I swear Eduardo carries it everywhere. He carries several different ones, but that one I've seen him wear, he wore it to his wedding.
It's kind of like a pocket watch. It's an accessory that really helps define your character.
Yeah, and he did a commercial for Yeti coolers. It was Hungry Life. And in the opening sequence, he's using the knife, and he kind of drops it down on the table, logo down, but hey, what the heck. And I was at work, and one of the guys came up and he goes, "Well, I think that's for your knife." And I went and looked at it, sure enough, yep, that's one of mine. And then it was a couple weeks later, somebody figured out whose knife it was, and posted my name on a knife blog. They were wondering whose it was, and they called up Eduardo or emailed him or something, and Eduardo told them, and then they posted it online. And ever since then, people have been calling me, "Hey, can I have one of these knives?" And it's one of my biggest sellers. There's something about it that people really like the shape of it. And,
it's one of those unexpected moments in your journey here as a creative where you just kind of got a break that, again, took you in a direction you might not have seen, but you got there just by being persistent.
And it just happened that way. And
kind of life, huh? Sometimes things just happen.
Yeah, so, but, yeah.
One question I always like to ask people is, it's been a tough year for a lot of reasons, but it's been tough so people may have been disrupted in their creative process or their creative flow. What's one lesson that you could tell other artists or other creatives about how to stay creative or get back on the horse if they lost their flow?
Just be persistent. I mean, even this whole thing that's going on nowadays, you know, with the virus going around, it's kind of given me more time to spend on my knives and more time to, you know, be creative, you know, add more to my lineup. I've been trying different stuff, just kind of different ways of doing things.
So there's a silver lining. Although it may seem like the world has stopped, in some ways it also gives you more time to work on your creative passion.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a setback for everybody. I mean, but I just keep busy. You know, I try to not let it bother me. I do my thing and go up and have a beer once in a while. And so.
If you have to take a break, take a break. But don't take a break too long and just get back into a rhythm.
Yeah.
So even though your rhythm may have changed, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you can't restart it.
Correct.
So Ed, where can people purchase or view your knives?
Online is about the only place. I used to have them downtown, but I found online was doing more better than just having them downtown.
And how many styles of knives do you have?
Oh, I got a big folder up here with hundreds.
Hundreds? So people get all different kind of styles.
Yeah.
And you said if they wanted to order a custom knife, it's about 3 months?
If they're starting from scratch, where they have a style that they're set with, it's about 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Now, if they're choosing one of my blanks, I usually keep about 30 blanks on hand. If I start getting lower, I'll go make some more. But if they can choose one of my blanks, it's usually 1 to 2 weeks now.
So a blank is like you have just the knife frame and then you add the custom handle and the color or the material that they want for the handle.
Correct. Yeah. You know, I have a whole list of questions that I ask them. You know, what type of file work? Do you want brass? Do you want stainless? You know, for the guard, and what do you want for the handle? Sometimes it's a little overwhelming that people don't realize there's several thousand.
So many choices and combinations you can end up making.
Yeah.
Do you have any recent experiments that you want to talk about?
My recent experiment is a couple chef's knives. Something I've never done before, but
it was a custom order that prompted you to try it? 2
custom orders. A lady out in California had been asking me for a long time, well, when are you going to make a chef's knife? I said, okay, send me a picture of what you want. So she sent me a picture, and this was close to 6 months ago. And I took off. I basically did the whole blanks and sent them out to heat treat. I was really worried that they'd come out all warped and because they were big and thin. But when they came back, they turned out beautiful.
Do you think you learned anything new in the process of making a totally different knife?
Yes, definitely on the chef's knives. It's going to be a little bit different way of doing things. A little bit long, takes a little bit longer. I'm sure with time, I'll get better with it.
Does it make you appreciate the process that you've come to know more?
Yeah. So, but you know, I'm always up for trying something new and different. I'm always looking for new patterns. I'll just sit down and draw new stuff and just come up with different stuff and kind of go from there.
Cool. Is there any last thing that you want to tell our audience about making knives or about you?
No, just I've been doing this for a long time. I never really read any books, or I just did what I wanted. So, and it's turned out well. Never
It's a great lesson.
stayed within the line.
Find something you're passionate about and keep trying. Don't give up if you hit some hardships, and you'll be surprised along the way where life might take you.
Yep.
Until next time, we'll thank Ed, and we'll see you the next time. Take care.
I am about to reach 1,000.
Any special plans for number 1,000?
Yes, I do have number 1,000 is up here. This is a big Bowie. You can see it, it'll be rather big.